Hey guys, Galen Hair here. If you're watching this video, either someone in our office has sent it to you because appraisal is now an issue in your claim, or you're snooping around on the internet looking for information about appraisal. But either way, welcome to the video. What I'm gonna do today is try to explain to you what appraisal is. It's gonna get a little long and it's gonna get a little exhausting because appraisal is a complicated concept. But stay with me and we're gonna get through it together. Appraisal is something provided for in Louisiana for fixing the amount of the loss. That means figuring out how much damage has been done to your home. We're gonna use an example today because I think it's gonna be easier for us. Let's say that the only thing damaged on a home is a window, and we think the window costs $1,000, and the carrier thinks the window costs $100. Now we have what's called a dispute as to the value, or a disagreement. The carrier or you have an option to trigger something called appraisal. In our example, the carrier is gonna do it. So the carrier writes us and says, it appears we have a disagreement as to the amount of the loss. Keep in mind, we want 1,000, they want 100. So we're triggering appraisal and we're naming Bobby as our appraiser. Well, now we have a duty under Louisiana law and under the policy to name an appraiser for you. This isn't absolute. There are ways around appraisal. And if we don't think appraisal is right for you and we think we can get around it, we're gonna work with you to do that. But often we do have to submit to appraisal. So then we're gonna write back and say, okay, we're submitting to appraisal and we're naming Johnny as our appraiser. Now Bobby from the insurance company should be a licensed appraiser with the Louisiana State Department of Insurance. This is not a real estate appraiser. And I wanna make that very clear. Real estate appraisers value how much a property is worth. Insurance appraisers value how much damage a property is worth. And that's a completely different analysis. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen a real estate appraiser that also was an insurance appraiser. It's usually one or the other. So first thing we're gonna do is make sure Bobby's licensed to be an insurance appraiser. And then we're gonna go hire Johnny for you, with your consent, of course. And we're gonna make sure that that's a good appraiser, someone that's licensed, that we think will do a good job, that is tenacious, that is aggressive. In fact, when I'm looking for appraisers, I'm almost looking for like a mini lawyer that just is licensed as an appraiser instead. Why do I want someone that's aggressive and tenacious? Because they're gonna negotiate. And this is the hard part to understand about appraisal. When the carrier triggers appraisal, or you trigger appraisal, we have to vest your appraiser with the power and authority to, quote, settle the amount of the loss. Now, this law firm is never gonna settle your case without your permission, but appraisal does allow these people to settle the amount of the loss. I'm not involved in this process. Our attorneys are not involved in this process. In fact, we're not supposed to even interfere with the process. But if these appraisers can reach a number that they both agree on, that is going to be the amount of the loss. So now let's say they split the baby and they go with $550. That's how much they decide this window is worth. They're gonna sign an award. It looks just like an estimate, but sometimes it's shorter. And the carrier is gonna send that $550 check minus the deductible and minus any prior payments. That's a perfect world. Sometimes people don't like the outcome of appraisal. Some carriers refuse to pay it. Some insureds try to get around it. But there's a difficult legal standard for how to do that. Now let's talk about if Bobby and Johnny cannot reach a number. So in this case, Bobby and Johnny can't reach a number. So the first thing Bobby and Johnny are gonna do is they're going to try to find someone that they can both agree on to be a tiebreaker almost. So in this case, they hire Steve. Steve's what's known as an umpire. Now keep in mind, we're paying Johnny, the insurance company is paying Bobby, but as soon as Steve gets involved, we both have to pay him. We each pay him equally. So Steve now is gonna write his own estimate. And let's say he thinks the window's worth $650. Well, all that has to happen for that $650 to be final is either the insurance company's appraiser, Bobby, or our appraiser, Johnny, has to sign off on that. 2 of 3 wins, majority rules. What happens if Bobby and Johnny, our appraisers, cannot agree on an umpire? Then we need to go to court. And sometimes that's confusing because you'll get a call from us saying that we're going to appraisal. And then you'll get a call from us saying we're going to court. And you'll say, what are you doing, Galen? And what we're doing is going and getting that umpire because the 2 people couldn't agree. So that's a whole separate fight in and of itself. We have to go to court, we often have to appear, we have to argue as to why this umpire is good and fair, and of course we want an umpire that we think is gonna be fair to you, and sometimes the carrier wants an umpire that is not gonna be fair to you. So that's why we have to fight over that. Once that umpire gets appointed, it follows the exact same process, 2 of 3 wins, and then that sets the amount of the loss. We hope for your sake that if that number comes back and it's a fair number, that the carrier pays it and that kind of ends it, and then we can discuss with you whether you have bad faith and things like that. They're not settling bad faith claims, okay? Just the amount of the loss. But again, that doesn't always happen, so I need you to be patient with me, because sometimes we actually get you a really, really good award and the carrier still decides to be difficult. We will walk you through that process. We will continue to fight for you, but I want you to understand what appraisal is and how it works. So let me leave you with this one last thought on appraisal. I've already hit on it, but it's really important. We are not going to settle your case without your permission. But once that carrier triggers appraisal, the appraiser that you hire with our recommendation does have the ability, the legal authority, to settle your loss without your permission. And I want you to understand that, because that's not a decision we're making for you, and we don't have any say in that, but it's part of the process, and it's typically in your insurance policy, and it's a requirement that you have to follow. If you have any questions about this, or really anything for your claim, give us a call at Insurance Claim HQ. We'd love to help.